nothing compares to the rush of Warzone solos, with the adrenaline pumping and your heart racing as you sit in a corner of a room for 20 minutes hoping the zone pulls your way. Yeah, I see you. But don't fear, because in this Warzone 3 tips and tricks video, I want to show you exactly how you can get more solo wins in Warzone 3. Now, first, we need to decide exactly what it is that you want to achieve. Basically, there are two schools of thought. Either you want to go for a win and nothing but a win, or you want to get as many kills as possible and hope for a win at the end of it. Now, I have tips for both of these different playstyles, and it should be noted that both of these playstyles are definitely viable when we are playing solos. So first, let's talk about getting kills. Getting kills in solos is tricky. There is no one coming to back you up. Every decision you make counts, and if you do make a mistake, that's it. It's game over. Actually, wait, hold on. No, it turns out there's actually 3 or 4 different ways that you can actually get back into this one life game mode. But that's besides the point. Pushing for high kill games in solos is extremely difficult, but there are a number of things that you can do to make it easier. Now, the first thing that we need to acknowledge is that intel is absolutely everything. You need to be getting as much information about where your enemies are as possible, and then logging that information in your mind, so when you are moving through the map, you know where as many enemies are as possible. Now, there are a number of ways that you can do this. Now, in Warzone 3, as I mentioned in an earlier video, portable radars are absolutely amazing. The radius used to be pretty bad over in Warzone 2, but they have buffed them to such an extent that even in like the second to last circle, if you throw down a portable radar, you're pretty much guaranteed to spot everyone left in the lobby. Now, on top of that, heartbeat sensors have also had a massive buff, although I wouldn't necessarily always have your heartbeat sensor up. We saw this in Warzone 1 in the Verdansk era. Having your heartbeat up is a surefire way to not be paying attention and to get yourself killed. Yes, you will see that little dot on a screen and it might give you some information about where another player is, but chances are if you're concentrating on that screen, you're going to miss that guy who's peeking you out of the window just to your right. Now, by far, the best way to get information is obviously going to be UAVs. But one really interesting playstyle that you can employ whilst you're playing solos is actually going for the train. If you didn't know, in Warzone 3, you can control the train. You can stop it, you can make it go forwards, and you can make it go in reverse. But the interesting thing about the train in Urzikstan is that it actually has a UAV radar on it. It costs 2k a pop, and basically what this allows you to do is travel through the map, seeing if there are enemies nearby. When you spot an enemy, you can then stop the train and then decide how you're going to push that enemy. I'm not going to lie to you, getting kills in solos isn't always the easiest, but the best way that you can approach this is by having as much information as possible. But look, it doesn't matter if you have 3 kills, 10 kills, 20 kills. If you do not win, does it even matter? And that's why I want to concentrate on this next part of the video, where I'm going to show you the best strategies for how you can get that win. Now, the first thing that we need to talk about is your movement. Now, what I'm not talking about is like the cracked out slide cancelling evasion maneuvers that you see some of the absolute sweatiest players use. Instead, what I'm trying to say to you is be mindful of where you are moving to. So many players, when they're playing solos, just get caught up in the moment and think that they always have to be on the move. This is fine if you're actually moving with purpose and you're heading to another contract, or you see an enemy pop up on the minimap and you want to hunt them down. That's absolutely fine. But what you don't want to be doing is just moving aimlessly. The sad reality is, in solos, a lot of players are going to be stood dead still, holding angles. Not to say that this isn't a valid playstyle, but what it does mean is that if you are running around like a headless chicken, chances are in the last 30 seconds, you've already been spotted by 5 or 6 people camping their little ass off. With that in mind, you need to make sure that whenever you are moving in a solos match, you are constantly looking around your surroundings and seeing where your next cover is, or where your next point of escape is. Obviously, the movement has been buffed in this game. That means that if you do start taking shots, a lot of the time you're going to be able to maneuver faster than your enemy is going to be able to aim and get behind a piece of cover, especially in Urzikstan that's a lot more built up and a lot more dense than Al Mazrah was. But to give yourself the best chance, you need to have already planned what your next move is and where you're going to be going next. It is a very good strategy to just hide somewhere, wait for your loadout to come in, and then stay still and just move when you have to when the zone pulls. However, for a lot of people, this is going to be boring, and that's why I'm going to tell you this strategy. And the first person that I heard talk about this was Iceman Isaac in Warzone 1, and he called it the pinwheel strategy. And basically it goes as follows. You land outside the circle, then you loot up, you get your first loadout, and what you do is as you approach the circle when the gas is pulling in, you give yourself enough time so that you're not right on the gas, and you approach the new zone either to the left or to the right, but you don't go straight towards it. And basically this allows you to clear the periphery of that next zone. You know that no one is is going to be coming up behind you because you have literally just cleared that area. And most people will be running from the gas straight to the circle, in which case they will be running straight in front of you, so you'll be able to get the easy kill. If you continue to do this and stay on the periphery of the gas throughout every single circle until like the third or fourth to last circle, you'll be in a really good standing and you'll have some kills under your belt. Now, there are a few caveats to this. For example, if you can tell that the zone is going to end somewhere with like a very obvious high ground, it's probably going to be your best option to secure that high ground. Camping a rooftop isn't always the best play. However, the higher you are, the more options you have for fighting. You never want to be fighting in the final two uphill. When you are aiming up at someone, all they have to do is like crouch and they're behind cover. Whereas when someone is aiming down on you, it's very, very hard to get out of their line of sight while still being able to maneuver and potentially flank. For this reason, if it looks like there is an obvious high ground in the final circle, abandon the pinwheel strategy and move for that placement. And on top of all of this, one perk that I would say is a must is high alert. For those of you who didn't know, Ghost only works in this game whilst you are moving. So you are covered once you are rotating into the circle, which is fine. However, when you have found that position and you are staying pretty much still, you're probably going to ping on someone's UAV. And as a result, I just find it so much more useful to have high alert, being able to tell when someone is looking at you and being able to dodge out of the way of fire before they have even fired a shot is invaluable in solos, and it gives you that much needed information that I've been talking about this whole time. Solo wins are very hard to get, but they are arguably the most rewarding wins you can get because it's all on you, and you know that if you've won a solo match, every decision that you have made during that time has brought you to this position. Now obviously none of these tips are going to work unless you have a proper grasp on the mechanics of Warzone 3 in general, which is why I suggest you watch this video next, which is going to give you some of those absolutely essential tips. Anyway, I'm Joel. Peace.